Meanwhile, crime waves continue to ravage the nation's largest cities, many blaming the defund the police movement that started to pick up steam during the Black Lives Matter riots last summer. Now, some mayors in cities that champion that movement are walking it back. Take a listen.
The city has an obligation to still continue constitutional policing and respond to 911 calls. Not unexpected, losing these number of officers, when city leaders talk about cutting a department by 50%, you will lose employees. We cannot just cut. We need a plan.
Heimlich, Washington State GOP Chairman. Caleb, good to see you. Hearing the Seattle mayor, a far cry from what we heard the mayor talking about during the state of Seattle last summer. Listen to this. I'll get your reaction.
Totally does not understand what is happening in America, and he is desperately trying to start the old fights and the old divisions that put him in power in the first place.
How long do you think Seattle in those few blocks looks like this?
I don't know. We could have the summer of love.
What she's referring there is to the autonomous zone that was in Seattle during summer, which they overtook one of the police stations there downtown, obviously championing the defund the police movement. Now she's saying, oh, you can't do that. What's your response?
Yeah, we've had quite the story arc in the city of Seattle where the mayor is calling it the summer of love. You had radical activists calling for defunding the police by 50%. Ultimately, the city council caved and cut the police budget by 20%. And then what we've seen over the past year is police officers have left voluntarily. Many have retired early, taken jobs in other departments. So all told, in the last year, the city of Seattle has lost 300 police officers, over 20% of their force. And now, no surprise, crime is up, murder is up, property crimes are up. And so now you have the mayor coming out and saying, well, by gosh, we need more police officers. And so it should come as no surprise to anybody watching this that if you have fewer police officers, you're going to have more crime. And so I think now, in spite of the radical activists, in spite of the defund the police movement, people are crying out saying we need police officers. We need to police our communities.
Yeah, how responsible is the mayor of Seattle for this when you think about it? She obviously, and you pointed it out, she's asked for more money. The city council says, no, we're defunding the police just like we talked about. Yet we've seen the mayor on that side of it through the summer. She changes her tune. The city council says we're not going to do it. How at fault is the mayor on this?
Well, the mayor has been in a little bit of a tough spot. I mean, obviously, she was out in the front attacking President Trump. I mean, she's playing to her liberal base in Seattle. But the reality is that it's the city council that has done this. And if you recall, we had an African-American woman as our police chief, Chief Carmen Best. And she was in a really tough spot because she ultimately quit. She left. So we had radical activists and these Democrats on the city council defunding the police, cutting the police budget. And she said, enough, I can't do my job. And so in good conscience, I can't stay. So she left. And so they chased out an African-American woman leader in the city of Seattle. And I think really the fault falls on the Seattle City Council. It's interesting. Just last night, we had our primary. A Republican is actually winning in a three-way primary in a run for Seattle City Attorney because the current attorney has not prosecuted any criminals. They're just letting people walk. And it may be that voters have finally had enough.
Bruce Harrell, right? Or is it Harrell?
So Bruce is running for mayor, and he's actually more of a moderate candidate, and he's winning as well. But on city attorney, it's Ann Sattler, who's winning in a three-way race, and Pete Holmes is the incumbent. And so he might get iced out in the top two in the primary. But either way, both in the mayor's race or the Seattle city attorney, there's glimmers of hope. Now, there's still a long way to go, but there's glimmers of hope that people are finally waking up.
Well, obviously, changes need to happen when the city mayor allows an autonomous zone to be created in her own city. and clearly is not connected with city council at all in terms of what they want to do with policing. You've seen crime spike in that city. Something has to be done. I see the voters, as you were pointing out, taking it into their hands there with possibly new leadership. Caleb Heimlich joining us live on the show. Good to see you, Caleb. Thank you.